Kent, Douglas Washington, Marion Nickerson on the board. And we have got a special guest in, Jason Righteous Norwood. Jason, we appreciate you joining us.
Oh, the pleasure is mine. Most certainly.
Yeah. So, Jason, as Douglas pointed out before we went into break, wrestling coach, Georgetown High School.
Yeah. So let me make a quick correction on that because I'm technically not the head coach of Georgetown High School.
Okay.
I am the only coach that wrestles at Georgetown High School. I'm the only coach with 20 years wrestling experience at Georgetown High School, but I'm not. The head coach position, the title, is held by teacher Travis Kinchlow, who great guy.
Okay.
Couldn't wrestle his way out of a brown paper bag. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
Not me.
Yeah.
So he handles the money. So as you well know, I'm a Army guy. I know how to do Army logistics. ISD logistics is another animal all by itself, and I don't want to mess with it.
Yep.
So I'd much rather be concerned with the technical and tactical implementation of wrestling for the kids. So that's what I do. That's what I handle.
Well, good deal. Well, I've got quite a bit of experience with Georgetown. I'm the former color commentator for football and baseball at Georgetown from years back. Luckily, they went to a state title game when I was doing football.
Okay.
So that was a lot of fun. And my daughter went to Georgetown last year. She's going to transfer back to Round Rock this year. But I've been around Georgetown quite a bit in my life. So,
Jason,
That's
when
our
did you
competition.
fall in love with wrestling?
Ooh, when it was actually a multi-pronged kind of a thing. It happened in 8th grade. I didn't start wrestling until 8th grade, and that was because I was staying after school with one of my good friends, Andrew Deffley, who wrestled, and so I saw it, and so I was like, oh, well, that's pretty cool. Then my cousin Carlos, he wrestled at Montclair in New Jersey. I was getting into some trouble in school, and he was like, you want your name in the paper for a fight? And I was like, probably not. He said, no, it's a good thing. And I was like, oh, for real? And then, so, freshman year of high school is really when I fell in love with it.
Yeah.
And then I got good sophomore year, and that's when I gave up football. I was like, this is all I'm going to do.
Man, I wanted good radio here, so I'm a little bit of a troublemaker, Jason, but you'll find that out. How old are you? People, like when you were growing up, y'all were reading newspapers and looking for your name in print. You know what? You don't have to answer that. I just want to get the blood pressure going. In high school.
Okay, I ain't 40 yet, so I don't want to hear nothing out of none of y'all, okay? All of y'all are over 40. I don't want to hear it.
You sure Marion's over? I think he dyed his hair to look like a silver fox just to get more phone numbers. In high school, this one's a little bit off the beaten path.
Yeah.
In high school, after you get your lunch tray, when you walk into the cafeteria, what table/clique are you sitting with and why?
What year? That's the question. So you see, I'm a nerd. So, freshman year, I was very much with the nerds. I had one really good friend. Andrew was my good friend. I had Darren was my friend. Rob was my good friend. And so I'm hanging out with the nerds. And then by senior year, I'm the senior class president. So my very close circle didn't change, but my very close circle is 3 people. The table fits 20. So, you know what I mean? Like where we wind up going and who winds up being around us in our periphery changes immensely. When you're the captain of the wrestling team and you're all this other stuff, that changes immensely. So, I'm a nerd at heart. And still am. And I'm also an athlete. And so, I got to play the crowd a little bit. Wait, if you let me.
Travis, that's one of those nerds that we can't stuff into the locker.
No, you do not stuff this nerd into the locker. That is for sure. I want to ask you real quick because we're not. Obviously, Texas is not a hotbed for wrestling. The way Oklahoma and Oklahoma State and their program, you've got the Arizona programs that are big into it. In New York, growing up in the New York, New Jersey area, is wrestling big up there?
Oh God, yes.
Okay.
Oh God, yes. Yeah. So the best schools in the nation, the best school in the nation right now is Penn State.
Okay.
Has been for the last 10 years since Cale Sanderson, a guy who wrestled at Iowa State, went there to be a coach.
Okay.
Right. So you have a hotbed in Iowa. Now I will say that wrestling is not as regional as it once was. Meaning it's spread all over. You have guys from. I remember when Brandon Slay won from Ohio, and like that was a big deal because Ohio, great wrestling area, but didn't have a national champion, right? Now they do. And so that was a big deal. So those kinds of things now you get national champions from, Indiana and all over the place. It's not just Iowa, Iowa State, Oklahoma, and Penn State and Lehigh that are at the national tournament.
Oh, we got a call.
Oh, okay. Oh, already. Wow.
Hey, caller, you there?
Yeah, finally.
Hey, Mr. Oklahoma, how you doing?
Yeah. Hey, man, I got bad news for Oklahoma and Texas.
What's that?
We're not going to win the national championship.
Oh, hey, here's what I'm going to help you with. While we have a guest, Miss Oklahoma, you got to have a guest. You got to have a question for this guest. Let's talk some Oklahoma wrestling. How about that? Since you are Mr. Oklahoma, let's talk some Oklahoma wrestling with our guest.
Okay, well, I don't really watch Oklahoma wrestling.
Well, why not? Why would you watch? Pat Smith John Smith is at Oklahoma, and he is probably the best wrestler the nation has ever seen, and he's still coaching.
I mean, well, that's good. I'm happy for him. But it's just certain events I watch.
Tion, where?
I watch the football. I watch the women's softball. I watch baseball. I watch some of the basketball, because we ain't really that good. But those are the sports that I really watch.
All right.
Well, no problem. What we wanted to do is make sure that we were able to get some calls and talk to our in-studio guest, since he took the time out. He could have done it through that. So here's what we want to know. Out there in the Big 12, they just got a new coach. You said Mr. Kish took the reign after presiding over the Big 12 conference. In the last 5 years, he was up there in North Dakota with them, and he guided them to a 48-20 record. A winning record each of the last 5 years while he was there, and then he came over to Oklahoma. I am very curious, Mr. Oklahoma, what would it take for you to start watching wrestling? What can grow your interest in wrestling? Because for our fans too, I think we should have more eyes. We're known for that in these parts, just a little bit more towards our north. What would it take for you to come out to a wrestling match?
Well, I want to be honest to you. I'm not interested in wrestling. I just want to be honest. I don't want to lie to you no kind of way.
I understand.
That's just one sport that I'm really not interested in.
Okay.
Even professional wrestling, I don't even watch that. But I'm going to tell you what wrestling I do watch. I watch the Olympic wrestling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Different countries and stuff like that. Now, I like that.
Our guests
those dudes are coming out of Oklahoma, so you need to watch them now.
Yeah.
Hey, Mr. Oklahoma, we're gonna let you go. We're gonna keep talking to our guests. Well, if we have some time at the end, we have some time at the end, we'll open up the phones again for more talk. Okay.
I tell you what, I've been trying to call in since 10 o'clock.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Next week, I'm gonna call in. Now.
Yep. Okay.
Let's do it.
I think Marion. Did Marion fall? You. Okay. Well, Marion's got you. We'll make sure we get you in early next week. Okay. All right.
All right. Well, I'll see y'all next week, man.
Thank you, Mr. Oklahoma. We appreciate it.
So, Jason, are you exclusively a wrestling athlete?
No.
What?
No. So I have been, my journey is storied. Before I did wrestling, I did martial arts. It's probably one of the reasons I got into so many fights as a kid. No, that's not true. I got into fights because I was a nerd, and everybody thinks that you can beat up a nerd. And I was like, oh wait, pause. Yeah. You can't. Not this one. And my dad, not for nothing, I got. You are a product of where you're at. John Norwood, Reverend John Norwood, was not a cool guy. But he was really cool if I beat up a bully. I will say that more than one occasion he came to the school and was like, hey, you're getting expelled or suspended because you got into a fight. And he would ask the principal, who threw the first punch? It was never me. Never me. And he would say in front of the principal, so my son defended himself? All right, we're going out for ice cream. And for a kid who stayed grounded, that was a big thing for me. But yeah, anyway, I did MMA for a long time. I'm actually still ranked in the Southeast for MMA because of the record that I have, even though I haven't fought in over 2 years. One, because of the pandemic, and then two, because when you get really heavy into coaching, it takes the time.
Yeah. So, Coach, you think I can take you outside because I'm not really impressed yet. I can't speak for Travis. I'm not impressed yet. You think I could take you outside to the parking lot and
Get thrown through a wall? Yes, you could.
Okay, well, that's what I was wondering. I was wondering if you needed like a crash test dummy.
No, I'll throw you through any wall you want. It's fine.
So,
no worries.
Do you listen to music when you're training?
Absolutely.
Who are you listening to, or what genre?
Oh Lord. So I pretty much. So every wrestler listens to 80s rock. You have to. It's like a requirement. And yeah, we all do. So it doesn't matter how much I like rap. You will listen to 80s rock if you're a wrestler. So that is all over my playlist. Now, of course, there's 90s rap in there too. But every now and then, when I'm lifting weights and I just want to be philosophical because of my degrees in philosophy, R&B just like really is when I'm not running and I don't need to keep a cadence. R&B is when I'll just be jamming out, listening to some Luther sometimes.
Okay.
while I'm squatting, or so whatever. I like to do that. So,
who are your top 5 athlete mentors, dead or alive?
Oh, dead or alive? Oh gosh. So, Serena Williams is probably the winningest dominant person in her sport ever. In the world of wrestling, you have, like I said, John Smith. You have Sudalayev was the best pound for pound wrestler, and he got beat actually by a guy on the United States team. Who, by the way, that guy's name is Kyle Snyder. Kyle Snyder got taken down at a camp by a guy that I coached. Maceo Branch. Yeah. So, it's, man. So there's a couple. Well, there's 3 right there.
Yeah.
I would also put up in there. I mean, for wrestling out of the United States, you have Cael Sanderson, and you have, of course, the ever-present Dan Gable. But for wrestling in general, you have Sergey Beloglazov, possibly the best wrestler to ever do it, as far as being a guy who knows every position through and through.
Yeah.
That's probably 6, but yeah, I'm gonna try and stay under 5. It's way too many. Way too many. Way too many.
Go ahead.
What inspires you today in your coaching? Why do you do that?
Look behind you.
Why are you coaching?
Look behind you. There's a kid behind you.
Oh,
it's your kid, actually.
It's about that youth movement.
It is. You don't understand. Like, so I'm a disabled veteran. Every morning I wake up in a lot of pain. But I get up every day because I have 2 girls at home that have to see me get up. No matter what, I've got to do it. And so then I see them push themselves. The other day, one of the best things that ever happened to me, my daughter came up to me and was like, "Dad, we haven't gone to the gym in 2 days." And I was like, "Oh, okay." That's the most inspiring thing to me. Like, it's not me. It's already in them.
Sure.
Right? We got to push ourselves. And so that's really it. That's it for me. I can do it.
I'm a little curious here. Do you have any other talents that you like to be known for?
So actually, I teach defensive tactics of all kinds. Yeah. So actually, after we're done this, I got to go take a guy shooting. I teach defensive tactics of all kinds. I obviously, I have a black belt in judo. I have a 4-stripe brown belt in jiu-jitsu. I'm a mixed martial artist with 20 wins. So I do unarmed combat and have done that for some time, but I also do armed combat as well.
Notice that, Travis. This is why I live life on the edge. At no point has he said he is a runner. So I could just talk all I want to talk.
Yeah. And as long as you can run fast.
Exactly.
You know what happens when you run from a fight? You die tired.
That's right.
That's what happens when you run from a fight. You die tired.
Come on, Dougie. I didn't think I was the brightest.
So I want to talk about your past a little bit. So high school into West Point?
Yes, I went to West Point, and then after that, I got to go to the Olympic Training Center with the All Army Wrestling team.
Okay,
it was an awesome experience.
Okay, good deal. And you, former military, thank you for your service. We appreciate that.
Thank you for paying your taxes.
I consider you. I hear you talk about disabled veteran and waking up in pain. I can sit here right now and I see the scar and I see your left wrist, and that doesn't look fun to me.
No,
I don't know if that was wrestling or what that was caused from, but that doesn't look fun.
Yeah, no, that was not. That was not actually. Yeah, I've had 26 surgeries. Me and my wife counted the other day.
Oh,
so yeah. One time, a fun story. I went. this is fun for me. It was my third surgery in a row. So I had surgery Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Thursday I have they try and put me under, and the anesthetic isn't working. And they're like, "What's going on?" I was like, "Well, I don't know if y'all know this, but I've been under the last 2 days." And they were like, "You should have told us that." Oh, my bad. Sorry.
Might have built up a little.
Yeah, a little bit of tolerance to this stuff. Yeah. So
when you make that transition from traditional wrestling into MMA, and we've seen a lot of MMA fighters do that.
Yeah.
Around here, maybe Johnny Big Rig Hendricks, a Dallas native,
Absolutely.
Oklahoma State is one of the most famous ones.
Yeah.
What's that transition? You're wanting to continue that athletic career, right? You've got something in you that's not done yet.
That's
so
exactly
talk about
it.
that transition over.
That was exactly it. I got pulled out of Army training facility because I had to go on a deployment that I wound up not having to go on. So it wound up not being my first deployment, but I thought it was gonna be, and so I still wanted to compete. I still had this drive in me. Wrestlers are very weird. Think about this: we work harder, and I'll prove this to any athlete ever. We work harder than any athlete in high school and college. We have to do, what track stars do for their job is what we do for conditioning. We work that hard for what? Because there's no stadiums for wrestling if you're not in Iowa,
right,
or Oklahoma, or now maybe Penn State and Lehigh. There isn't. So we do it so that on a Saturday, 6 people will watch us dominate another human being who's our same weight.
Yeah.
So that drive and that consistent need to work hard is what makes you a great mixed martial artist, because you're going to do the right things when nobody's watching. You're going to manage your weight, which is part of mixed martial arts, right? You're going to work and you're going to train. You're going to do 3 a days, because that's what it takes. These football players talk about 2 a days. You're going to do 3 a days. That's what it takes. You're going to do all of the stuff behind the scenes when nobody's looking and when people are looking, and you're just going to find the need to drive yourself because it's you driving yourself. You don't need anybody else there.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's the transition. That's actually what makes the transition easy. The fact that you still have a fire and the fire won't go out, the rest of the stuff is easy. And then, of course, inside of a cage, what does every wrestler do? We dictate where the fight happens.
Right.
If you're a boxer, I'll take you to ground. You can't box there, James Toney. You know what I mean?
That's right.
If you're a great grappler, you'll never get me down. Right?
Yeah.
How many black belts? I had a black belt on my back in a fight. And I was like, yeah, okay. You think we're going to stay here?
Nice little backpack.
We're not going to stay here. I just want to break that down to you. Yeah.
So Jason, when did you become the best athlete in your family, and how did the incumbent at that time take it?
I guess the incumbent. Ooh, I don't know who the incumbent was. I want to say it was my cousin Brett. Actually, everybody has been athletic. My dad is really heavy now. My dad was so athletic at the time. He was a boxer. I got his greens, his officer uniform, when I graduated West Point, which now they don't even wear. But and it was too thin for me.
Wow.
My dad is twice my weight now, but back then it was too. I couldn't fit my arms and legs in it. He was that. Yeah, he was a 180-pound boxer at the time, or 160-pound boxer at the time. So yeah. I don't know. Everybody kind of encouraged me, though. I didn't really have, nobody wanted to push me off my title as far as that was concerned. My parents weren't really into me wrestling so much, but my cousins were all there like, yeah, man, go, get this done. And then when I started fighting, of course, my mother, she wasn't into it, but what mom is.
Right. I can imagine.
So...
What would your peers say about you to describe you?
So funny we talk about that. I was just talking to one of my best friends from high school, and he was like, yeah, I saw one of the guys we graduated with. I said, yeah, Jason's fighting. And he was like, yeah, that makes sense. And I was like, really? It's like, yeah, no, dude, that definitely tracks. So I didn't even know that. But yeah, it evidently definitely tracks that I would be fighting for the rest of my life. I don't know.
Maybe
at
some
I fought
point,
a lot.
an old folks home is going to have to accept you, right? Because it sounds like you're bringing a lot of baggage.
I'm just trying to go out on top. Like, I'm not trying to be here when it's old and decrepit. Like, when it comes time to exchange, I'll just turn it in.
Yeah.
So you said you've been inactive MMA-wise for the last couple of years. Are you retired, or are you out there you still willing to
If
look at a fight if the right fight comes along, the right promotion?
4 months ago, the right fight came along. I got ready, and then the guy couldn't get his license.
Oh, okay.
So, and it was perfect timing because I was coming out of season. I was like, oh, yes, we're going to do this.
Mm-hmm.
And it didn't work out. So, yeah.
So, what is your legacy after wrestling for your family and for your university? What is that legacy?
Oh, my legacy is actually probably not even necessarily on a mat. My legacy actually is probably in social justice, weirdly enough.
Mm-hmm.
It's a big push for me right now. I didn't, I tell people all this all the time. I experienced the world through my lens as a black man in America, right?
Yeah.
And I didn't realize certain other isms that exist because the one that hurt me was racism, right? That's what I saw.
Mm-hmm.
But working with these groups that I've worked with, I now see the confluence of all those isms, elitism, sexism, all those things, and they have a nexus point, right? And I'm trying to get rid of them. And so I'm hoping that will be in the mentorship of the children that I mentor. That will be the end state, right?
Yeah.
It won't just be, I've got an All-American underneath me. I've got a couple state champs underneath me. Not here in Texas yet. Should be this year.
Okay.
But that's not true. My daughter's a freestyle state champion. Who am I talking about?
No.
How am I gonna miss that one? Right? For real. What am I thinking?
You're getting put in a headlock when you get
We
home.
always forget the one closest to us.
Of course. But yeah. So I think though that's probably my legacy is trying to get right.
Yeah. We don't have too much longer.
Yeah.
Who do you admire and why?
Ooh. So it's not so much a person as it is a position, right? Yeah. I admire anybody who has a position of authority, right? That is benevolent, because I have been a commander. I was a commander. Actually, one of the reasons they wanted me out of the Army so bad. I was a commander in the Army. My last command was for 3.5 years.
Yeah.
Which is unheard of in the Army.
Sounds pretty
People
long.
are like, what? No, you weren't. I was. We'll talk about it later. Anyway, and it's very easy to let that go to your head.
Yeah.
And so whenever you're in a position of authority and you're benevolent, that takes something. Like you got to get up in the morning and try for that. You got to get up in the morning and put yourself in place for that. So I am always in awe of those people, no matter what position it might be.
What are some changes that you would like to see at the top levels of wrestling at the college or university level?
So I want to see women's wrestling grow. Like a couple of keynotes for you. So I was just doing some research before we got in here, right? The fastest growing sport in the United States is pickleball. Believe that.
Yes.
It's crazy. I was like, what? The fastest growing sport in high school and in college is actually lacrosse. Fastest growing sport for girls in the state of Texas is wrestling.
Wow.
So,
okay.
yeah, so I'm like, wow, this is great. So that's one of the things I want to see. Now, Texas is about to get Tarleton University is talking about having their first Division I program.
Okay.
For wrestling, that would bring, of course, hopefully also a girls Division I program. They need to start having girls Division I programs everywhere that they have a boys Division I program for wrestling. Because the fact of the matter is that girls are great wrestlers. I'm not just saying that because I'm a girl dad, which I am. I know I'm biased, but they're awesome at every age. Right? When boys would respond with girls respond with technique a lot of times, especially when we're talking about at the high school age, right? At the younger ages, when boys don't quite understand the body yet, girls do. So there's better control, there's better general understanding. I love helping all kids, right? But I like seeing it click with girls because also the other thing too is it gives them confidence. I'm not worried about my girls being victimized, right? I'm not. Because my daughter will, who like presses 380 pounds, will pick you up and dump you on your head. And I'm good with it.
Yeah.
I'm good with it.
We are in the last minute as we close out. We'll just go ahead and ask you here. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you
Really
for having me. It was great.
appreciate If there are going to be opportunities when the wrestling season comes back, if you'd be interested, we'd be interested, especially now that I know we've got some connections to Georgetown High School there.
Oh, absolutely.
Very
Yes. I'd
very
love to come
interested
back.
in that. How can we find you on social media?
Yeah, so my middle name is actually Righteous. So I know that's in quotes, but quite literally that's my given legal name. So Right Fight 170 is me on TikTok. You can Righteous Wrestling Club. If you check that out, you'll find me on there. And find me on Jason Righteous Norwood or Jason R Norwood on Facebook. Hit me up. I actually am still taking clients currently for defensive tactics classes. So if you're interested in that, feel free to look me up and hit me up.
Oh.
Yeah. My phone number is actually on the Righteous Wrestling website. So go to Righteous Wrestling Club.
Oh,
Yeah.
Thank you much.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Jason, thank you very much for coming in. We really appreciate it. And we're
you.
going to hold you to that. We're going to have you back on, even if it's just call in.
Yes.
We'd love to keep up with you, keep up with the programs. I want to know more as we get into wrestling seasons, more about Central Texas high school wrestling. I really don't have much. I've known some youth who have wrestled in high school, but just don't know much about the club system. We'd love to have you on talk more about that as well. So
absolutely, I'd love to come back, and it's growing. Central Texas high school wrestling is growing. Y'all need to come out and watch these kids get whooped up on by my kids. By my kids.
Yeah,
my kids give the whoopings.
ladies and gentlemen, Jason Righteous Norwood, we appreciate you coming in.
Thank y'all so much.
We need to get to a break. We'll be back right after that here on the Fans View. K.7, Travis Kent, Douglas Washington, Mary Nickerson on the board. Once again, I want to thank Jason Norwood for coming in. Great interview. Appreciate you setting that up, Douglas.
It was a pleasure. Thanks, Jay Hunt. Jay Hunt said, "Hey, Douglas, let's get some people in. I'd like to get some local coaches, and talk about opportunities for youth sports, especially young ladies."
That's
interesting.
right.
He specifically said that. So. That's a girl dad, and the ratio of female wrestlers that he has in his club is mind-blowing.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, those ladies are pretty tough over there.
I'm sure they are.
Dare I say, he's also the king of New York. He's a humble guy, but Travis, you've known me long enough to know if I was like the state freestyle champion of New Jersey and New York, I'd be calling myself the king of New York. I'd probably get that tattoo. I don't know why he's such a humble guy, but
we'll definitely have to have him back on. That's for sure.
That was cool.
Yeah.
That was awesome. And I didn't get beat up.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.